Bob Winters, Sanctuary Lakes resident. You're here as a special bird expert for all of us at Sanctuary Lakes. Tell us about why you bought here.
Well, I bought here because I've always wanted to live on a wetland, and I couldn't believe that I was offered a block on a wetland so close to the city.
I remember that night when you chose that block.
Yeah, you said, "You want that funny little block?" And my eyes lit up, never knowing that you'd actually get to see and appreciate what we've built here.
Bob, there are a lot of birds here. Do you want to tell us a little bit about bird watching itself? I mean, what are some of the tips?
Oh, really, you go out, fresh air, you have a look to see what's moving, because it's easier to see birds that move, listen to the calls, and you just need to be observant. And just look in the direction where you either see something move or you can hear something.
And what about the timing? Is it best to try and see the birds early in the morning or late in the afternoon?
I'll see most birds early in the morning. It also depends. Sometimes you see quite a few after a rain, but in the middle of the heat of a day, you're not going to see many. And there's not much food around on a cold day. They're not going to spend too much time out there either.
Now, what about parents taking children out for a walk to look for birds? What are some of the tricks there?
Well, go to a place where you're likely to find birds, along the lake shore or along the creek, and walk along slowly. If you don't point at birds which are close to you, the birds won't be scared. They're quite scared of pointing. And the kids shouldn't have bouncing balls, and it's probably best not to have a dog running around as well. But moving along slowly and listening and looking is the way to go.
And what about binoculars? Give us a couple of hints. If I'm looking to buy a set of binoculars just to have a bit of a stroll out with the kids, etc., what should we be looking at?
Well, these are a nice little cheap pair of binoculars. First thing is, look for the first number. There's two numbers on them. This one I think is 8 by, can't even remember this one, 8 by 25. The 8's the magnification. Don't go any higher than 8. Might sound very nice to have a 20 times something, but you can't handhold it. You'll just get seasick. So 7 or 8 times magnification. Doesn't matter if it's a little one. The big binoculars work much better in the light.
Keep going.
And the way you use binoculars is you focus in the middle and you bend them like that. One of the eyepieces here can be adjusted, so you always make sure that's on 0, and that'll work fine for you. Just adjust them so they're in between your eyes.
And well, what sort of birds, what are some of the main birds that you see here at Sanctuary Lakes?
We can classify them in different groups. You've got the birds that like to swim out in the middle of the lake, so things like swans and ducks. You have things that like to walk around the edge. There are things like herons and egrets and some of the migratory waders, plovers, and then you've got what you might call your common bush or garden birds. So with the range of trees we've got in Sanctuary Lakes, they are amazingly bird attractors, and we'll get to see more and more of those bush/garden birds over the years.
And what about the redneck stint? Where does it come from?
The redneck stint's famous because it breeds in Siberia, only hangs out there for about 3 months, just long enough to have its chicks. Even before their chicks can fly, they're coming back to Australia where the good times are. And they get into very large flocks. They are so small, they're about the size of a sparrow, and by the time they get to Siberia, they've lost half their weight. So they come down here, feed themselves up, get themselves nice and fat, and they've got to get ready to go back to Siberia. The reason they like to breed up there is that once the ice has melted up there, there's so many mosquitoes to eat, plus all the other creepy crawlies, that they just go on a ball, feeding ball.
If I was looking to plant my garden and I wanted to attract some birds, what are some of the things that I would be or should be planting?
Plant native ground cover. Some indigenous, that's local trees that used to grow here, is good. This used to be more of a grassland. So basically choose small trees, small eucalypts. Sometimes it's even better if you only got a small space to get one of those trees that have been put on a different rootstock so they don't grow too big. But usually a eucalypt or two and a wattle will do quite well to attract some birds. But don't put in too many because your garden get overcrowded.
And what about the iPhone, Bob? Can you use the iPhone to photograph the birds?
Only if they're dead. You could probably photograph a whole lot along the lake, and the ones that come up and say hi to you along the lake, but iPhone's a bit limited.
Bob Winters, bird expert from Sanctuary Lakes, thanks once again for the chat.
Yeah, get out there and have some fun watching the birds.